On this episode, we've got a new project. Hey everybody, welcome to episode 11? Oh, geez, man, I can't remember that. I think it's episode 12, actually, of DailyIoT. I've got my good friend Matt here, also a co-worker. We're filming this at work. Don't tell our boss. But we're changing up something different on the show, DailyIoT. And advice I'm always giving people is to have a project. And I take that idea seriously myself, and I'm always looking for new projects to drive my learning. I think that it gives you motivation to learn. It helps kind of guide you through what things do I need to learn to get to the next level of IoT. And I think it's a really effective way to get started in learning. So Matt and I have found a project. We have a Jazzy scooter. It's not actually a Jazzy, but that's what most people know him as. And we want to IoT it out. And so before we do that, Matt, why don't you tell the Daily IoT watchers a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I am a friend of Kevin's and a co-worker here shooting our little secret work video. I care a lot about education, and I'm really passionate about both learning new things myself and helping other people learn things as well. So we put our heads together with what we could do that's both a fun project and a way to maybe help share some of the knowledge we've built up by making fun projects, and we came up with IoTizing this scooter.
Yeah, and so at the end of these videos, I like to say together we're learning more about the Internet of Things. I think this is a great vehicle, pun intended. I'm not going to say no pun intended.
That was a good one.
Pun intended. That as we tear this thing down and go through it and figure out how to hook it up to the Internet and control it, there's things that I already know about that we can share with you, but also things that we'll learn along the way as well. So together we can learn more about Internet of Things and how you take a project like this and IoT it. Okay, I was watching the video that we shot today at work, and I realized that I left a bunch of information out. I have what's going on in my head really well, but I don't feel like I conveyed it really well when we were filming earlier. And so just to clear up the background here, a friend of ours, of Matt and I's at work, acquired this scooter. It's one of those, scooters that you see older people generally riding around when they don't have the ability to walk around easily anymore. And what he did was he modified it. He chopped the seat all the way down to the floorboard. He pulled the handlebars way down, so it looks kind of like the go-kart look that you saw in the intro to this episode. And that by itself is awesome. We drive around the office. It's amazing. What we wanted to do was take it to the next level and IoT it. And for a project like that, there are a couple of options. You can leave the platform as is and then just add some elements to it, maybe throw on a platform, connect some sensors, connect some lights. There's all kinds of ideas that we have for this. LED strip on the bottom. You can put a GPS unit on it to track your position around. You can do cool things like add sensors to it, so if you throw a ball and it hits a sensor on it, it's like Mario Kart where it'll stop you. You can control the engines. There's all sorts of possibilities for this. You can keep track of battery usage, and there's a ton of possibilities. And so you can bolt those on afterward, but what we wanted to do is make it more integrated. And so what we wanted to do is get actually down to the motor control level, replace that controller with our own platform, maybe like a Raspberry Pi or a particle photon. We're going to make that decision, but replace it at that level and actually drive the motors. Maybe get rid of things like the speed limitation. It only goes so fast, but if we can control it at that level, we may go as fast as we want. It'd be awesome. And so that's the project here. Like I said, I don't feel like I explained that really well when we did the intro at work, and so that's what's going on. And we want to use DailyIoT as a vehicle to talk about all the different things that you would learn in a project like that and do in a project like that. And so still going to continue to provide news updates when there are newsworthy items occurring in IoT. I don't have any today, but I just wanted to film some of this process. And so what we did today on this project was we wanted to tear down the electrical system, get all the way down to that control board level, and determine from the drive controls, there's a key and there's a buzzer and there's a throttle control and a governor control, like a turtle mode versus a rabbit mode, and all those things. Those come down through a wire harness underneath the scooter, underneath the seat to the control board where all the magic happens. And so if we want to replace that control board, we need to know
what's happening on all those wires down to the control board. So that was the project today. We used a handy feature of a multimeter, which is a continuity test. And got one right here. A lot of meters will have this feature. It's called continuity, where aside from reading voltages and currents and resistance and things like that, if you put it in continuity mode and you touch the two leads together, you get a beep, an audible beep that says those two things are connected. And so this is great for, as Matt's about to explain, finding out where wires from one part of a system connect to another part of a system. Sometimes you can do that based on color, but a lot of times, and believe me, this is a very common thing, the wires will magically change colors somewhere along their route. It'll go in as a yellow wire up here and come out as a gray wire down here. And so a meter is the best way to do those. And so the idea here is to tear this down, use a meter, find out where all the electrical connections go, and then create a schematic as the output of that we're then able to move on to the next step, which is what do we do with all those signals that come from the drivetrain controllers. And so that's what we're having. Hopefully that's a more clear explanation, and I hope you guys enjoy sort of this process that we go through on Daily IoT. I think it's a great way of almost daily covering the topics that we encounter and the learnings that we find to give you that information and share it with you. So I will now continue back to the footage that we filmed today at work.
What we're working on first is we have the old controller brain for this scooter, and we have all of the connections for the wires that come up to the drive controls. So in order to replace this controller, we need to first figure out how all of these connections for all of the user controls pipe down onto this connector, so we can replace it with a new brain. And we'll do that by using a handy-dandy multimeter so that we can simply test the connection between any two wires, and if they form a connection between this end and the drive control end, we know they're the same wire.
If you have any questions as we go, please feel free to ask. We're going to try and cover things and talk about it. But if you have questions, stick them in the comments below. Matt, how do the people find you online?
I'll be watching the comments as well, or you can hit me on Twitter at try_rebooting, and I will be watching for things there.
Yeah, we'll link that down below, like you said, and I'll put it up on screen here so you guys can find Matt online. Otherwise, hope you guys enjoy watching the process here, and thanks for watching Daily IoT, where together we're learning all about the Internet of Things, one day at a time.